So, my dear Scorpio, the Sun is now in Pisces. And here in Osho Zen Tarot, Pisces is connected with the past lives. We see two hands forming a hole, the vagina, the portal, two salamanders guarding this portal. And so Pisces is connected with the moon. And so this is kind of interesting, right? The sun and the moon now together. So the sun is giving the light to the moon, which is in your sign. And we are going to the right because you are going to your full moon in your opposite sign, which is in Taurus. So the number 13 and the number 18. 10 again here, the Wheel of Fortune. The 3, the Empress. The 8, the Strength. And when we calculate it together, we get a 4 here and here, a 9, the completion. When we complete one life, then we come and can take on another life. And then the lesson maybe is from the opposite, right? That's what we say, that when we have hurt someone in the next life, we're going to get hurt from that person. And those are soul contracts. And so death is that moment where the eye, the center of the card, is always important, right? We always want to see what's happening in the center of the card, and here it is the portal, and here it's the eye. And Scorpio, the bird, is looking to the left, and to the left is the soul, is the new moon, is the introverted. To the right is the full moon, is the human, it's that extroverted path. And so today this is the combination, right? Now Pisces is getting ruled by Neptune. Neptune is connected with the dream world and with the spirit. And you are getting ruled by Pluto. And Pluto is always the mystic. Pluto is the shadow side. And so Pluto has moved into Aquarius. Is going to stay until September, goes for 2 months back to Capricorn, and then at the end of November it's going to stay for 20 years in Aquarius, and that's going to be a huge shift and change for you. Already you feel it, already things are changing, and that's life. Change is the constant narrative here in this dimension. The yoga position for Pisces is a fish pose, and here I have the upward and the downward facing dog as guardians. The upward facing dog is the evolution of here the downward facing dog, right? Because it's that opening, it's that I open myself backwards into the future, and I see then the dimension, and he is in the downward facing dog, he's looking in this dimension, he is here occupied in this dimension. And so it's the same dog, right? But one is upward facing, one is downward facing. You are getting, of course, Scorpio pose, and Scorpio pose is one of the most difficult balancing poses and inversions. And so here you put your feet above your head to actually liberate yourself from the ego, from the one part in you that is holding on to the life and doesn't want to recognize that when I leave I can take on a new life. So this just today, right? This moment exists only once a year, but if we include the other planets, then this moment exists only once in your life. Now you have, through Hermann Handel Tarot, this is the deck I gave you, the King of Cups is Odin, and he's pointing at the rune alphabet because he was hanging 9 days on the world tree and he got the rune alphabet. And this is a very important mystical key because the rune is a Nordic alphabet, right? It's not the Sumerian, but still, nevertheless, it was very important. And the word rune comes from a whisper, in German, raunen. And when we whisper to each other words, it's kind of like everybody's ears get bigger. And that's what happened back then when there was no language yet. When you were saying a word, it sounded like you are creating a spell, right? Spelling a spell. And so here, this is what you have achieved. Is your birthday between October 13 and November 12th, then he is your court card. If not, then please look in the description below. I have listed all the court cards there, and of course all the cards that I'm using. You're Scorpio, the mystic, right? Remember that. And you are the 8th house of transformation and secrets. We see here the hand, we see the whale, we see the woman. You are diving the deepest of all water signs, right? Pisces is connected with the Knight of Cups. He's rather the river. And Cancer is the Queen of Cups. She's the healer. She's at the shore. And you are the King of Cups. You are in the middle of the big, big, big ocean. So back to the last reading. We had Aquarius Sun giving Scorpio Moon the light. 21 Cups. You are ready to embrace a new world filled with love. And I have put them here in the front. I'm not sure if I was able to put all of them, but 21 Cups, that's the world. And then again, the 3 is left, and the 3 is the Empress, which is in your card. The 3. The 10, the Wheel of Fortune, some say it's the Magician, right? But the Wheel of Fortune, the Magician, in a way, it's like the same. It's just the Wheel of Fortune is a new round. It's with a 0. And so it's like you created the manifestation. You created something. And so here you have the 3 in the 13, right? And so the world, when we calculate together, we get the 3. And you are ready to get this world filled with love. So let's see what Pisces is bringing, because Pisces is also the path of love. Now, Neptune is also ruling the Hanged Man. And we're going to look as an overall look into the Hanged Man through the Creativity Oracle. And the Pisces is the 12th house of spirituality and art. So creativity is an expression of your soul. And so we're going to have a look what your soul is saying here to you. Now we see the butterfly, which is always as the transformation for death, right? We go through the cocoon of the caterpillar, and then the butterfly emerges out of it with wings, right? We see the sun and the moon. It's almost like an eclipse. And we see nature. We see here, these are made out of fabric. So it's an art piece in itself. And here the card says, wish granted, the number 10. And the 10, again, like I said, is the Wheel of Fortune, and the card says, believe in your abilities as a magic maker to manifest your wishes. They will soon be your reality. Amazing, right? So the 10 and, of course, the 12 is the 22. And the 22 is then the Fool. The Fool is 0, but the Fool is also the 22 major arcana. And so we're going to look into the next card, right, on the position of the Fool, what the 22 is wanting to tell you here. But I can also calculate here the 12 into a 3, and then I get the 10 and the 3, the 13. And then that's you. You see, numbers are amazing. Numbers are really what I use as a foundation, and then the imagination, the pictures can come in and fill in the rest. So here you are, then the 4. So you can either now think about a 4, the Emperor, but also the heart, or the 4 elements, right? The 4 has many meanings. And we are going to look now at the card that comes up on the Fool, which is the 9 of Pentacles. Look at this. So the 9 of Pentacles are, of course, the material world that is here talking to you. And this is connected with the constellation Venus in Virgo. And she is in her own garden. She has built a tower. She has built a place of success. She has here the 6 and she has here the 3, right? The 9 is the completion. So you go from 10 to 9. And it's interesting because the 10 in the Kabbalistic tree of life is then here. Down on earth, we have arrived. The one, the crown, the spiritual oneness has come down into the 10. And so it's almost like we're going up the ladder, right? We're going up the tree. And you were hanging on the tree of life. And the tree of life brought you the rune alphabet. And you were hanging here 9 days. 9 days. 9 pentacles. Plus the 0, the 90. So you see how everything is talking. You see how actually the Fool is connected with Uranus. And Uranus is, again, always that new perspective on how we make money. Here she is really like, has arrived in her own garden. She has created this really beautiful place, and you can see it's here, right? This beautiful place is here, and it's kind of like then with the Hangman a 4 or a 22. So the 22 is saying, yes, you have created yourself your own garden of peace, right? The garden where you can hang yourself, right? Where you can go in an inversion, where you can go and have fun. The 22, right? It's also maybe a date, the 22nd of September, right? So you make your decision, right? I am giving you the information, but you fill in your story. And so this is, of course, the story of the woman that is single, right? But happy. She doesn't need no one, right? And she is really content. Now in the position of the Magician, we get the Luminous Warrior. And the Luminous Warrior is the 32. And here the Magician is connected with Mercury. So the 3, the Empress, the 2, the High Priestess, connecting them together, we get the High Priest, Taurus, your opposite sign, the Luminous Warrior, the warrior that goes out and fights for the earth, fights for the 5 senses, plus the 1 is then a 6. And the 6 is always, I love myself enough to create now also an environment where people feel comfortable around me, right? That's self-love. When we love ourselves, we don't nag on other people anymore because we're so content being ourselves. Being happy with ourselves is that we don't have time to complain how the other person is behaving. It's not important, right? And so here comes the luminous warrior, and I want to know what brings the luminous warrior to you. And he brings you the Six of Swords. So we get here a 6-6 portal, right? The luminous warrior using the magic. So we have the 3, the 2, and the 1. You see that? So it's like the 3, the 2, and the 1. It's this triangle, right? And when we calculate it all together, we get the 6. So it's a 6-6 portal here, the 66. And 6 is that self-love, and 2 times the 6 is like, be creative in the way you love yourself. And so the 6 of Swords talks about knowledge, right? A knowledge that we acquire because it's this alchemical process of finding deep within your mind an understanding on how to use the tools, right? The 4 elements. And so magician is connected with Mercury, and here we have Mercury in Aquarius. And so this is the most positive sword card, and is bringing you that you are now studying again so that you can become creative in the way you express your self-love. All right? And you see how they fly up there and how they're holding each other, and they're creating a vortex, they're creating a circle, they're creating a circle of love, right? Every circle is here like shown with how many people or how many elements are forming that circle. And so here it's the 6, and here's the 9, and here's the 6 with the magician, right? So you can see that everything is talking in numbers, but also pictures are quite powerful. And so maybe you learning, and maybe you're flying high up in the sky. Then comes on the position of the High Priestess here, the 9 of Swords. Now you have 6 swords, right? And 9 swords, that's 15 swords. 15 is connected with the Capricorn, the devil, the attachment, or the cutting off the source. Here we are in the source, and all of a sudden you cut yourself off the source. And it's interesting because you had the 9 of Pentacles, and now you have the 9 of Swords. So what is creating the trouble here? What are you thinking about? Why are you now all of a sudden worried, right? Because you learned what you learned? Is that the reason why you're worried? Because the 9 and the 2 is then the 11. The inner teacher appears. The inner teacher is important because this is a portal, the 11. And when we know the portal, right, that there are degrees, that there are titles, right? The 11, the 22, and the 33. After that, of course, we have 44, 55, etc. And you had the 66, right? You had the 6-6 here, the luminous warrior with the magician and the 6 of swords. You had already a 6-6 portal, but the 11 is the inner teacher. The 11 is that I know that my intuition is talking to me. And here, of course, the 9 of swords is the lord of despair and cruelty. And so sometimes you're suffering on your own accord, on your own not trusting your intuition, on the fact that you maybe think that there is a really bad world out there, because this is connected with Mars in Gemini. And Mars is that push, right? Mars is always pushing. It's like that masculine warrior, but you are the luminous warrior. And so the 15 becomes then also a 6 when we calculate them together. And so the Capricorn energy is saying, well, don't get attached to social status, don't get attached to making money, having the money, and now maybe needing to protect the money. It's really important that you understand that everything is flowing when we connect on a deeper level, right, to ourselves, and also let go and see that nature also lets go. But we become quite attached to certain things. And so here the 6 is then the liberation. Learn more, that you don't fall into this trap. But you have here the 11. You have the inner teacher. Through these difficulties in your mind, through these nightmares, you're learning to overcome that, and you're learning to become stronger. Then on the position of the Empress again, a state of consciousness, right? The Fool, the state of consciousness of I have this crazy idea. The Magician, right? Well, I have the inspiration on this crazy idea and I'm going to act upon it. And then the Intuition through the High Priestess, right? That's also an inner state of consciousness. And now the Empress brings you the Magician. The Magician, the 1, so the 3 and the 1 is then the 4 here. And the 4 again is what you get when you combine the 13. Recognize the Wheel of Fortune, recognize the Empress that is bringing you the Magician, recognize the magic that happens when we let go, recognize the magic when we exhale. We're again able to inhale after that. And so he is standing here proud, holding all 4 elements, and he's the 5th element in here, right? He's that one and only element that controls all the other 4. He has 3 legs, so the Empress is in there as well. The 4 elements, and he himself, he has that 1 flower. It's like the 8, the infinite consciousness, right? That is within us, and we realize that you are giving birth here to a new magic because you got the 11 here, right? The 11, and so when we look at this, that's 3 times the 1. 3 times the 1, you become powerful in the way you recognize how the one and only energy is important. And so act upon it, right? Do what needs to be done, because the Empress is connected with Venus, and Venus is beauty, Venus is love, Venus is also the money, Venus in Virgo, the money that you gained, the money that is now in your possession. Then on the position of Scorpio, right, in the moon in Scorpio, comes the 5 of Pentacles. And so the 5 is here through the luminous warrior. He is using all his 5 senses, and so here you have again the 5. But this 5 is Mercury in Taurus. And of course, Mercury here is also connected with the Magician and brought you the luminous warrior. So a 5-5 portal, very clear. And Taurus is your opposite sign. And so when you see this, right, the 13 plus the 5, you get the 18. The 18 is the moon. The moon, right, the past lives. So maybe in your past lives, something happened and now you're liberating yourself. Now you're fighting for something that you really believe in. And that fight is bringing you to the 18, to the subconscious, deep down again, to recognize what is it really that you want to achieve here in this life, right? Because the 18 then turns into a 9, and then you have a 9-9 portal, right? With the 9 of Pentacles and, the 9 of Swords. So 3 times the 9. And 3 times the 9 is now you become empowered, right, through the completion that you have recognized here. Because this is your self-worth. This is all about how much am I worth, right? Are you worth who you are because of the money or because of the way you act? Because the way you act to yourself, right? Not for others. Don't do it for others. Do it for yourself. Do you love yourself? Do you really recognize your self-worth, right? And do you recognize the 5 inside of the Magician? And so the 9 is left here and is talking to you very clearly and saying, yes, you are now recognizing deep in your subconscious how much self-love you need to arrive in the completion, right? And so here the 5 of Stones is those material difficulties, because when we do now the 9 and the 5 together, we get the 14, which is Temperance, which is Sagittarius. And Temperance is building a melting between masculine and feminine, between the opposites, between the inhale and the exhale, the circle. What comes around goes around, right? And so understand that's karma. Then on the position of Odin comes here the Strength card. And here in Hermann Handel, it's the number 8. The snake, the 8, the infinity, the sexual energy, because you are very sexual. Your body part is the sexuality, right? And so here you are the 8th house of transformation and secrets, and here we get the 8, the strength, an 8-8 portal, letting you know that you are pointing through the rune alphabet down here to the strength, and the rune alphabet is up here in the corner. And I'm just gonna let you know what the name is of this of the rune. The word is Sovelo, Sig, and means the sun. And so you recognize that the sun is talking here to you. The sun is bringing you then the light to your full moon. When in the month of Taurus, you are getting your full moon, right? It's your opposite sign. That's when you get your full moon. And so here you are recognizing the strength that you get. Also, the sun is going to give you that sexual boost, right? That we need when we have that sexual intensity, that fire, that creating a strength out of it, right? And so here you are in the 8-8 portal, right? That 8-8 portal is inspiring you to actually arrive in a creativity, in an infinite creative circle. So the 8-8 is talking, and Odin is pointing at the 8 down here and saying, yeah, focus on the 8. The 8 is the infinite, right? And the 8 is also the snake. Then on the position of Pisces, here with the past lives comes here the creator. And the creator is the king of wands, which is Leo. And so you have the major arcana, which is the soul aspect of Leo. And here you have the major arcana, the king of wands, right? Connected with the sun. He's the creator. He creates whatever he wants to create. And so here the 18 turns into the 9 and the 5. Again, the 14 appears. And the 14 has appeared through the 9 and the 5 of Pentacles, right? We had here the 14, Temperance. Again, understand Temperance is important, is connected with Sagittarius, but Temperance is that I understand that everything has to be always in a constant balance, right? And so here you are asked to be in your outward shining, but at the same time inwards. You also understand here that the 5 is left, and the 5 house of joy and fun, of being creative, also of being sexually open, right? But not promiscuous, but open and honest and clear and wholesome, right? That you can create again and again out of the 5 senses, right? Then you are the luminous warrior. Then you understand why the luminous warrior is not fighting. He's never fighting. He's protecting. He's a warrior, so he can protect, not to fight, but to protect. There's a huge difference, right? When someone just wants to fight because he loves to fight, and someone that's just fighting because he needs to protect. It's a huge difference there, right? And so understand that's what's coming here. Enjoy what you're doing. Go deep into the creativity that appears when you have fun and when you are the sun. And when here the sun came already through the rune alphabet where Odin is pointing at. Then on the position of the moon. The moon as a dream oracle here. We have the wailing tree, the reconciliation, the number 59. Now you have the 5 and the 9 here, right? We have the 9 of Pentacles. We have the 9 of Swords, right? And we had the 9 with the 5 of Pentacles, right? We had the 9 here when we calculated all together. The 13 becomes a 4 and the 5 is the 9. And so understand again that you are recognizing in your subconscious that something is wanting to express itself. There is a redness, there is a fire, right? When we look at this card, it's kind of more bluish and only the salamander is red. So colors are very important in those cards as well because they give us an aspect of the element. And so here we see the 18 again turning into a 9. And here we have the 9 and the 5 turns into 14. Again, you get temperance, right? Sagittarius, letting you know, be careful. Always recognize the masculine and the feminine, and then the 5 is left. Here the 9 and the 5 again, 14, and the 5 is left. So I want to see what is coming up when you are in the wailing tree, when you are coming into the reconciliation, and the 9 of Cups has come up, right? And the 9 of Cups is Jupiter in Pisces. And Jupiter is the expansion of Sagittarius, of Temperance. And so the 5 that was left with the 9 again, the 5 is left. So even the 9 of Cups, right, are talking to you as that wish card. You have now as the understanding here, the Pentacles, the Swords, and the Cups, a 999 portal, right? The other 9 has come through the Moon card, right, which is the 18, and then the 9 comes out of that. So I'm not calculate that right now into it because this is a very clear 999 portal. 3 times 9, then you are powerful in the finances, you're powerful hopefully in the mental, right, and not being in a nightmare, and you're powerful here in the way you emotionally are satisfied, right? These women are all sitting here at this spring and doing yoga and enjoying themselves and having a good time, and this is exactly what's wanting to come to you here, right? Is that you understand deep in your subconscious, if you liberate things, if you let go things, then you can come into a really beautiful place, right? Because Jupiter is that ideal. When Jupiter in Pisces comes here to you, Pisces is talking here through the fun, right? A fun that you create. You created this moment, this special moment where these women are sitting here. And so recognize that, right? Recognize that then the 5 is left. And so we have a 5, 5, and also a 5 here. So really beautiful, right? We recognize now there is something talking in a very powerful and beautiful way. So understand that. Really understand your own story in all of that. Because then on the position of the Sun, we get here the fire, the ignition, the number 8, right? And so you have then 3 times the 8, right here, the 8, 8, and now again an 8. And the 8 is, again, like I said, here in the head of the magician, right? The infinite energy that we can have access to, right? It's like, understand how powerful that is gonna make you, because look at this, right? I mean, this is like, ooh, there's some action, there's some fire going on. You, of all water signs, right? You need some fire. And so here you're creating again now signs, right? Because you, of course, are pointing here at the rune alphabet. And I think there are some rune letters in here as well. But most of all, we see here the hexagram, right? That's a very powerful and magical sign, right? It has always been used in the magic. And so here we see how she is actually going out to the right, out to the full moon. You're prepared, you're taking action, you are ready to shine, you're ready to be really like a sorcerer, right? Like the Odin is bringing to you the mystic, and so the mystic is using that to overcome anything that is happening here in the wailing tree, in that sadness. And the wailing tree feels like the Nine of Swords is connected in here. There's something that is like almost like a nightmare is coming, where things are like talking and burning in your dream. So the 19 turns into a 10. The 10 and the 8 again is the 18. The 18 is the moon. The moon is the 18, right? And then the 9 is left, and I want to know what is coming here. And here you get the High Priestess. Look at you. The High Priestess is sitting here with open legs, and she is ready, right? Because then the 18 plus the 2 is the 20. It's your calling now to go out there and create magic, really create also a union between the intuition. And so here the 20 is the calling of the last judgment, right? The 20. But I can also calculate the 10 plus the 18 is the 9. The 9 plus the 2 is again the 11. The inner teacher is appearing here. You can pick what you want, right? The 20 or the 11. But recognize, right, how the numbers really tell us exactly what's going on here. That the sun is bringing you now here the energy, that the sun has come here through the strength, through Leo, and has come through the creator, also Leo, right? Leo is here, Leo is talking. Also then here this kind of fire magic, right? That's also very much like either Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries, right? These are all the fire signs. But I feel like because Leo has come twice, right, as a major arcana, and as, of course, the court card, right, the 5th house of joy and fun, I can see that you're having here fun in creating, either as a 20 that is then your calling, or as an 11, the inner teacher that is appearing. And then on the position of the universe, the world, the last card here, we get the Hermit. And so the Hermit is looking into the 10. Look at that. And I put this down because I have to do it. I have to close. The 9-9 is framing the 10, right? So now you see that it's important for you to understand that whichever way you go, to the left is going introverted to the new moon, to yourself, sun and moon, both in your sign. To the right, it's going out, it's going to the full moon, right? It's going to Taurus, is learning, is showing yourself. And then you have arrived here, and you can see that the sun is really almost at the center of the card, is where she's looking at, right? Is rising, and the sun has come, right, through Leo, and the sun is also here the fire magic that is appearing here. And you are seeing all of a sudden, right, that here the 9 and of course the 21 turns into a 3, we get the 12. Well, guess what? The 12 brought you here the Hangman, the wish granted. Now, what wish is it that you want to have granted? Because you're looking at it. Is it to be in your own garden? Is it to be to have enough money so that you can just hanging in there and do whatever you feel like doing, right? Being creative and seeing then that believing in your ability as a magic maker, where the 3 has brought you the magic, right? Because when we calculate the Hanged Man together, the 12 turns into a 3. And also the universe, the 21, the reverse of the 12 is a 3. So here we have the 12 and the 3 is left, right? And the 3 fits 3 times into the 9. And so I can see that you really see now that your wish is going to come through, because you get here the 9 of Pentacles. Do what needs to be done to find your inner sanctuary, to find your inner garden, to find that moment of completion so that you can go further and deeper into yourself, but first out of yourself, right? Into the month of Taurus, where you are learning everything about self-worth. Mercury in Taurus, right? That's the sign. Here you are understanding, okay, then you get the 14. The 14 turns into a 5. Self-worth. Self-worth cannot be bought. Self-worth is something that you either have developed or not, and you develop that here in the 9, in the Hermit. So here you have now 1, 2, 3, 4 clear 9s, right? Plus then the other 9 that came up here with the Death card and the 5 of coins, right? That's the 18. Subconscious is letting you know self-worth is found in your subconscious, and then the 9 appears if you calculate it all together. But the wish is here, and I think I'm gonna use this in front of the video, right? So that you can see and feel it and understand how important it is to be then the luminous warrior, the 5, right? The 5 times 9 is, then you are a luminous warrior that can help other people to arrive here at themselves in a deep self-worth, emotionally, mentally, and physically. And of course, in the action way, right, you have enough fire to be like, yeah, also here in the fire you have the 5 and the 8, the 13. Look at that, right? So then you have again the 4, and the 4 is the Emperor, and the Emperor is then in the next reading when we have the Sun in Aries. The Emperor is coming and telling you, yeah, do what needs to be done in a way of action oriented, right? In the way you act, in the way you are living it. And so that is your message. Wow. I hope I see you in the next one. Like I said, Aries has come up here through these 2 cards, right? Then the 4, the 13, and the 4, the transformation. Until then, I thank you so much for being with me. Namaste.